Hi there. And after last week's Futuron Space Monorail video, where I showed this comparison between the colours of the LEGO Classic Spacemen and the LEGO Futuron Spacemen, I have had so many comments about colours of Futuron, and are there any others, and am I going to make a display of them? So this week I'm going to take a deep dive into this LEGO Space sub-theme, and that's going to involve these four guys we've already seen, some quite random colour variations of those guys, some minifigures from the LEGO Store's Build a Minifig Tower, the LEGO Store from the LEGO City Square set, and what I think could possibly be the coolest LEGO City Space set ever made. But which ones do you think will live up to the hype of their classic friends and make it into their own display? You'll have to wait and see. So the first Futuron minifigs came out in 1987, and we got three colours that year. We got yellow, blue and red. Now the yellow guy came in the most sets. He came in 12 sets back in 1987, and if you want to get hold of him today, he's going to cost you somewhere between £4 and £11 depending on his condition. Next common was the blue guy. He came in half the number of sets. He came in 6 sets back in 87, and today he'll cost you a similar sort of price, somewhere between £5 and £10. And then lastly we have the red guy. He only ever came in 2 sets, so he's a little bit more expensive today, and he's going to cost you somewhere between £9 and £20. And then the following year in 1988 we got the black Futuron guy. He came in a total of 3 sets, and today he's going to cost you somewhere between £3 and £13. But fortunately all these guys came together in a minifig pack in 1988 which was set 6703, and it was imaginatively called Minifig Pack. And in that set, which I've had for many years, also came 2 Blacktron minifigs. But that's a totally different space faction and a subject for a totally different video. Now when we compare the Futuron minifigs with their classic counterparts, we can see that they are very similar. They both have solid coloured legs, arms and hands, and of course the classic smiley face. But LEGO had changed from the classic space helmet design to what was becoming more common in the town theme, which was the motorcycle helmet, which also meant they could all have coloured visors, and they all had transparent dark blue. And as we can see, the main difference between the two are the torsos. Classic Spacemen had full coloured torsos with the classic space logo on them, whereas Futuron Spacemen all had white torsos, with their colour printed in a diagonal panel, again with the classic space logo, and a gold zip running from corner to corner. And these would be the only 4 colours of Futuron torso that we would get for another 27 years. However, 1 year later in 1989 there was one more Futuron minifigure released, and that was in the Star Quest Mini Flyer set, and from the ground up he looked identical to our already existing black Futuron minifig, except he had the massive difference of having a white helmet. And today he costs virtually the same as the black Futuron minifig does, somewhere between £3 and £13. Or you can just get a black Futuron minifig and change his helmet. But he was still mainly black, so if we added him to a Futuron minifig display, he'd have to sit on a second black stripe. Also in 1989 we got another Futuron torso, but not on a Futuron minifig, because in 1989 LEGO released the Space Police theme. And for this Space Police minifig they used the black Futuron torso, but with a white helmet and a red visor, and then a mashup on his lower half with black hips and white legs. And today he's going to cost you about the same as the other 2 black Futuron guys, somewhere between £3 and £13. 2 years later in 1991, set 9355 was released, and that was a LEGO Dacta set. Now Dacta at that time was the educational arm of LEGO, and this was simply called the Space Themed set. And LEGO took some existing Futuron parts, mixed them up with a few other random coloured parts, and gave us 2 more Futuron minifigs. And we got 4 of each of those minifigures in that one Dacta set. Now you can see the first one is just a mashup of the black and the yellow Futuron minifigs, and they decided to take the torso and the hips from the black minifig and the legs, helmet and air tanks from the yellow minifig, and then they decided to go completely off standard and give him a transparent light blue visor instead of the transparent dark blue visor. And then the other guy was an even weirder mashup. He had the helmet and the air tanks from the black minifig, the torso from the rarer red minifig, and for some unknown reason suddenly decided to give him green legs and a red visor. Now trying to buy these 2 today and you've got a little bit of a price issue, because Dacta sets were education sets, they weren't that common, so there tend to be less of these minifigs around. And on the secondary market these guys can go from anywhere between £6 and £33, which to me seems a little bit ridiculous considering all the parts are available in much cheaper minifigs. So if you personally don't have to stick rigidly to the fact that the parts didn't come in the same set together, you can make these 2 minifigs out of parts of the other Futuron minifigs for a lot less than buying these 2 as they are online. Now with these 2 guys we've got the same problem as we've got with the 1989 minifig. If they were to be added to the display, I'm not entirely sure what colour stripe we'd put them on. They're using black, yellow, red and green parts, and we've already got a black, a yellow and a red Futuron minifig. The only colour we could potentially use is green, and I don't think he'd look particularly good on a green stripe. However, if we suddenly jump forward 24 years, we may have a solution to this problem. In 2015, the LEGO City themed City Square set was released. And in that set you got several buildings and several vehicles, but most importantly you got this LEGO store. As with most LEGO stores, downstairs you've got a giant red brick on display. Inside you've got a pick-a-brick wall and plenty of sets to buy. But upstairs there were two giant minifigs on display. On one side there was a castle knight, and on the other side was a green Futuron minifig. Now this is similar to what LEGO have done with the classic spacemen. Many years after the theme is finished, they start giving us other colours. And up close you can see, yes, he's definitely a recoloured and updated Futuron minifig. He's got all the same attributes with legs, hips, arms, hands, helmet and air tanks all in the same colour. And of course the helmet being the more modern motorcycle helmet with a visor. Then they gave him the more modern smiley face and updated his torso design. He's still got that triangle of colour running diagonally across his torso. He's got the classic space logo printed on that triangle, albeit with slightly more accurate printing after 20 years, and he has still got that diagonal zip. Although now it's safely covered up by a flap of green fabric, so the teeth of the zip aren't on display and aren't going to get snagged on anything. Now I got the City Square set when it came out in 2015, so I already had this minifig, but I planned to make this display quite a while ago and I wanted to get another minifig for this display. And when I was looking, the cheapest I could get one for was about £20, whereas someone was selling the complete LEGO store from the set on eBay for just under £30. So I thought it'd be well worth it to buy the minifig that way, then I've got a second LEGO store and I can double them up in my LEGO city. So that's our green Futuron guy from 2015. Now we're going to jump forward to just a couple of years ago to May 2024. Now if you're a long-term viewer of my channel, you've probably guessed that I like collecting minifigs, and I log my collection on Brickset, and the website is currently telling me that I own over 8,000 of them. And every time there's new parts on the Build a Minifig tower in the LEGO stores, I pop along to my local store and make sure I get a box of the new figs. And 2024 was the year of space across nearly all LEGO themes, and in May of that year we had 3 space minifigs in the LEGO store Build a Minifig towers. Now 2 of the torsos matched all the other minifigs which were in the LEGO City space sets that year, and the blue guy even had these really cool extra shoulder pieces with the classic space logo on. But the third minifig, who is an alien, had what definitely looked like a tribute to the Futuron minifig torsos. We had the same white base torso with a coloured triangular panel running from corner to corner, with the classic space logo sitting on that panel. Although now the colours had changed from a red rocket flying around a gold planet to a black rocket flying around an orange planet. But he wasn't going to stay alone. The following year he was going to be joined by 2 friends. Now for years now, LEGO Space has been a sub-theme of LEGO City, and over the years we've had some really good LEGO Space sets. And because 2024 was LEGO's year of space, we got a huge wave of sets, but all the torsos in that range matched the 2 minifigs from the Build a Minifig tower, and not our Futuron styled space alien. But the following year in January 2025, LEGO gave us one more space set, and it was this one, the Galactic Spaceship, which was set 60446. And although we've had some good LEGO City space sets before, I think this was their absolute best set. Now from an initial look, it is just an exceptionally cool looking spaceship. However, the ship was modular and it fitted together with all the modular parts from the previous year's space sets. The front module was the cockpit, and we had space for a minifigure and an alien pilot. Just behind that was a bay where one of the minifigs could take a rest and lie down, and by removing this one piece here, you could detach that front module. The next module looked like some sort of maintenance section with various tools and panels on the wall, with storage containers on both sides containing crystals. And again, by removing this one piece here, you could detach that module too. And then the final module was a habitation unit, and if you lift up these 2 pieces here, you can lift off the smoked glass roof and see inside. The story behind this theme was that they were mining these crystals and turning them into batteries for their vehicles. So inside you could see one of the crystals and one of the batteries, and there's some plants growing in the opposite corner. Over here we've got a flap down area with 2 drinks bottles and some food inside, nice pizza for them to eat, and over on the other side another flap with a bed for someone to lie in. Outside the hab unit you've got the 2 wings which can be detached from each side, and the engines to be removed from the back, and then there's various stanchions which can just fold down and give it stability when it's sitting on a planet's surface. And then the wings that you've removed can be attached to the front section like that, and the engine you removed, if you take these 2 pins out, can be attached to the back, and you've got a much smaller spaceship for zipping around while the habitation unit's on the planet. You've also still got that middle storage unit, which you can either attach to the spacecraft or leave attached to the hab unit on the planet's surface. I forgot to mention you also got a couple of boulders where the minifigs mine the crystals, and 2 panels to attach to the hab unit once you've removed the engines and the rest of the spacecraft. But apart from me raving about how cool this set really is, the important thing for this video are the minifigs. And first of all, we got a light blue space guy, exactly the same as all the other light blue space guys we had the year before, and also a little alien who'd obviously joined forces with them. But we got 3 more coloured torsos, which matched the red torso of the alien we got in the Builder minifig tower the previous year. Now these are the 3 colours we had in the entire wave from the previous year, just obviously in the slightly different Futuron style. And I've got all but 1 sets from that wave, and after examining all the minifigs, it seems to be that the blue guys are the pilots, the green guys are the scientists or explorers, and the yellow guys are the mechanics or the maintenance workers. And as we've only ever had 1 minifig with the red triangle, all I can presume is that's for aliens who've joined the team. Now while these guys are definitely tributes to the Futuron theme, I don't think we can actually call them Futuron minifigs. And then one last honourable mention also from 2025 came in this set, which was 71487, and it was called Z-Blob's Robot and Vehicle. It was a LEGO Dreams set, and the minifig inside was Matteo. Now we've already got some links from the Dreams theme to the classic space theme, because we've previously got Mr. Oz on the Builder minifig tower in 2 different classic space torsos. But in Z-Blob's Robot set, we got Matteo clearly dressed in a Futuron outfit. And yes, the planet may be blobified and the whole torso looks like it could be melting, but the Futuron link is definitely there. So I think I've managed to narrow it down and decide who of these guys is going to get their place on our display. The next thing we need to do is obviously build the display stand itself. But just before we do, a very quick shout out to all my channel members. Thank you so much for your support, it really is appreciated. And if anyone else would like to become a channel member and get their name on a brick in my videos, you can click on the join button below or the link in the description and that'll tell you how. So first came Every Spaceman is Awesome, then came Every Space Baby is Awesome, then just recently, a few weeks ago, we added the Spaceman Hall of Shame, and today we're adding Every Futuron Spaceman is Awesome. So we had our original colours, which were the blue one, the yellow one, and the red one. And then a year later, we got the black one. And then many years later we got our tribute figure, the green guy, and there's all our Futuron spacemen in their brand new display. So this is how the 5 minifigs were originally bought. The only potential change we could make is to the green space guy. We could swap out his more modern smiley face for a classic smiley face, and we could also swap out his transparent black visor for a transparent dark blue one to match the other guys. But what do you think? Do you agree with the choices I made to put these 5 in the display? Let me know what you think in the comments below. So I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the Futuron Space sub-theme. There are many other sub-themes of LEGO Space, which maybe I could do videos on in the future. If you've liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. To also help the channel out, you could consider becoming a channel member or using my affiliate link at lego.com if you buy anything online. But above everything else, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe for more LEGO videos.